In the heart of Littleton, Colorado, a quiet suburb where families lived in modest homes and children rode bikes through tree-lined streets, April 20th, 1999, began as an unremarkable spring day. By noon, however, Columbine High School would become the epicenter of a tragedy that would not only shatter this tight-knit community, but also leave an indelible mark on the American consciousness, sparking decades-long conversations about school safety, mental health, and the factors that push young people toward unimaginable acts. Columbine High School sat in Jefferson County, a sprawling campus of red brick buildings surrounded by grassy fields and a backdrop of the Rocky Mountains. It was home to about 1,900 students, a mix of freshmen through seniors, who filled the hallways with the usual teenage energy, laughter over shared jokes, debates about weekend plans, and the occasional stress over upcoming exams. The school was a hub of activity. The Rebels football team practiced on the fields, the drama club rehearsed in the auditorium, and the library hummed with students flipping through books or whispering at computer stations. That morning, the sun shone gently, with temperatures hovering in the mid-50s, a light breeze carrying the scent of blooming flowers. Teachers like William Dave Sanders, a beloved business instructor and coach, prepared lessons, while cafeteria workers set out trays for the lunch rush. The school's routine felt as predictable as Everlockers slamming, bells ringing, and announcements crackling over the intercom. Yet, beneath this ordinary surface, to seniors, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold had spent over a year orchestrating a plan that would disrupt this peaceful setting forever. The lives touched that day were vibrant and varied, each person carrying dreams and connections that made their loss profoundly felt. Cassie Burnell, 17, was a junior who had overcome a troubled phase to embrace her Christian faith, often seen reading her Bible or hiking in the nearby mountains. Corey DePuter, also 17, was a kind-hearted junior who spent weekends fishing with friends and aspired to serve in the Marines. Stephen Curnow, a 14-year-old freshman, loved soccer and could talk for hours about Star Wars, his eyes lighting up at the mention of lightsabers. Daniel Rohrbau, 15, was a sophomore with a knack for electronics, often helping at his grandfather's shop and known for his easygoing smile. Kelly Fleming, 16, was a shy junior who poured her heart into poetry and dreamed of publishing her stories. Matthew Kechter, 16, a sophomore, balanced academics with football and wrestling, always quick to encourage teammates. Isaiah Schulz, an 18-year-old senior, faced health challenges with cystic fibrosis, but remained a charismatic presence, planning a future in the music industry. John Tomlin, 16, a sophomore, worked part-time at a plant nursery and was deeply involved in his church, often volunteering for youth events. Lauren Townsend, 18, was a senior and valedictorian, leading the volleyball team and spending free time volunteering at animal shelters. Daniel Mauser, 15, a sophomore, excelled in math and debate, recently returning from a family trip to Paris with stories to share. Kyle Velasquez, 16, a sophomore, was a gentle soul who loved helping his parents with chores and hoped to join the Navy. Rachel Scott, 17, a junior, was an aspiring actress who wrote plays and was known for small acts of kindness, like befriending new students. And Dave Sanders, 47, the only teacher lost, was a father of 3 who had coached girls' basketball and softball for 25 years, earning respect for his dedication to students' growth. These were people with futures ahead, connected by their presence in a school that felt like a second home until that day. At 11:19 a.m., as students streamed toward the cafeteria for lunch, Harris and Klebold parked their cars in separate lots near the school's west entrance, dressed in long black trench coats, a style associated with their small clique known as the Trench Coat Mafia. They concealed an arsenal that included a Boyan 995 carbine, a TEC-9 pistol, 2 shotguns, and dozens of homemade explosive devices. Their plan, meticulously detailed in journals and videos, was ambitious and chilling. They had planted 2 large propane-based devices in the cafeteria, timed to detonate during peak lunch hour, intending to cause mass destruction. When these failed to activate, they shifted to a secondary approach, beginning their actions outside near the west stairs. What followed was a 49-minute ordeal that unfolded with devastating speed. They moved methodically, targeting students on the grassy hill where some ate lunch, then entering the school through the west doors. Hallways, once filled with casual chatter, became scenes of panic as students ran, hid, or barricaded themselves in classrooms. Teachers, like Patty Nielsen, grazed by glass shards while trying to direct students to safety, shouted warnings over the intercom. In the library, where 52 students and 2 staff members had taken cover, the situation grew dire. Some hid under tables, others whispered to 911 operators, while a few, like Cassie Burnell, reportedly affirmed their faith in their final moments. The 2 moved through the room, taunting and choosing targets, leaving behind a trail of heartbreak. Outside, students like Rachel Scott and Daniel Rohrbough were among the first affected, caught in the open with no chance to escape. Dave Sanders, in the cafeteria, acted heroically, ushering over 100 students to safety through back exits, despite the chaos, even as he was critically injured while directing others to flee upstairs. First responders arrived within minutes, but the situation's complexity, reports of explosives, multiple assailants, and trapped students, delayed full entry. Police and SWAT teams from Jefferson County, Denver, and surrounding areas set up a perimeter, evacuating classrooms one by one. Paramedics treated the injured in triage areas set up in nearby parking lots, while helicopters airlifted the most critical to hospitals like Denver Health. By 12:08 p.m., Harris and Klebold had returned to the library, where they ended their own paths, leaving behind a scene of devastation. 13 lives lost, 21 others injured, some with permanent disabilities, requiring months of surgeries and rehabilitation. As the school was cleared, students reunited with sobbing parents at nearby Leawood Elementary or Clement Park, while others waited anxiously for news of friends. The community gathered that evening at a candlelight vigil, where thousands stood in silence, holding photos and flowers. The investigation launched immediately, led by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, with FBI support. crime scene analysts cataloged over 30 explosive devices, some in the cafeteria, others in the perpetrators' cars, confirming the scale of their intent. Journals, dubbed the basement tapes, and websites uncovered a year-long obsession with destruction. Influenced by violent video games like Doom, movies like Natural Born Killers, and historical events they referenced in writings. The two had acquired their weapons through loopholes, straw purchases by friends like Robin Anderson at gun shows, and an illegal sale by a coworker. Mark Main's autopsies revealed no drugs or alcohol in their systems, dispelling early rumors. Investigators interviewed classmates, uncovering stories of bullying. Harris and Klebold had been mocked as outcasts, though the extent's role remained debated. A critical lead emerged. A year earlier, a sheriff's deputy had investigated a tip about Harris's website, which contained threats and mentions of pipe bombs, but the case was not fully pursued due to jurisdictional issues and lack of follow-up. The school, too, had received complaints about the pair's behavior, but no formal threat assessment existed at the time. The community grappled with guilt and questions: how had this been missed? Vigils continued, with 70,000 attending a memorial where Vice President Al Gore and Governor Bill Owens spoke, and crosses were erected on Rebel Hill, though some were later removed amid controversy over including the perpetrators. A deeper revelation shook the investigation. The basement tapes, recorded in Harris's home, showed the two rehearsing their plan, mocking classmates, and expressing a desire for infamy. These were withheld from public release to avoid inspiring others, but their contents, partially described in court, painted a picture of calculated resentment. Friends recalled Harris's fascination with explosives and Klebold's quieter struggles with depression. Yet neither had raised enough alarm to prompt intervention. A search warrant draft from 1998, never executed, had mentioned Harris's pipe bomb activities, highlighting missed opportunities. This twist fueled national outrage, exposing gaps in school safety protocols, mental health support, and law enforcement coordination. It also sparked debates over media's role. Were violent games and films partly to blame, or was this a distraction from deeper issues like access to weapons? Resolution took years and came in varied forms. The perpetrators' families faced lawsuits, settling with victims' families for millions, as did the school district for failing to act on prior warnings. Colorado passed laws requiring background checks for private gun sales and funding school resource officers. Nationally, schools adopted lockdown drills, zero-tolerance bullying policies, and threat assessment teams, though critics argued these sometimes overreached, punishing minor infractions harshly. The Columbine Memorial, opened in 2007 at Clement Park, features a ring of remembrance with inscriptions for each victim. While the school's library was rebuilt as a new space, the original site converted into an atrium. Dave Sanders's family established scholarships in his name, and his daughter spoke at safety conferences. Rachel Scott's family founded Rachel's Challenge, a kindness initiative reaching millions, while Daniel Mauser's father advocated for gun reforms, contributing to the 2000 juvenile firearm law. Survivors like Patrick Ireland, who crawled out a library window despite severe injuries, shared stories of recovery, inspiring others. The tragedy's ripple effects reshaped school culture, but for many, closure remains elusive. Families still visit graves, and survivors carry physical and emotional scars. What warning signs do you think schools should prioritize to prevent such events? Have you or someone you know been affected by bullying, and what steps helped resolve it? How have school safety measures in your area changed since 1999? If these stories of loss, resilience, and reform resonate with you, subscribe to Crime Justice. For more in-depth explorations, hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos.